welcome to Quays News at 3 with Amelia Shalish, bringing the latest headlines across the northwest. We start with the storms and the havoc of the last few days. Floods across the UK, rail disruptions, and even a giant hole in the roof of the O2. So what's the damage? Let's get more from our weather correspondent, Luca Hughes-Piper. He's been looking at the latest picture across Greater Manchester.
The third named storm in the last week, Storm Franklin, has brought on severe damage and more weather warnings across the country. If trees weren't uprooted, they were underwater. But what are these floods due to?
I do think that 3/4 of flooding is being created by poor town planning. That's why, unfortunately, blocking print driveways are much cheaper to deliver than having a nice permeable surface that might need a bit more maintenance in the future. I think there's a role for national and local government with regards to flooding, and I think people don't understand, because they've never had the facts presented to them, what their role is or their responsibility as an individual is. So it's not a cut and dried issue. Yes, we are currently getting more rainfall, but also, again, as residents of a local area, we're actually slitting our own throats by the way that we manage our town planning, our own gardens.
From storm to strike and industrial action in Trafford, entering its third month. Dozens of workers at pallet company CHEP have been on strike since before Christmas. It follows a pay dispute. The staff were classed as key workers during the pandemic. They claim that they were offered a 1.8% increase just as company's profits soared. CHEP have declined to respond. One of Manchester's nightclubs has closed its doors for good after losing its licence. Fifth Avenue, formerly known as Legend, was a mainstay in Manchester's club scene and it's been branded the worst club in UK by student magazine The Tab.
That's a real shame. It's been a long time since I visited, back in the 1990s, but it's always been a Manchester institution and I think it's a great shame.
Yeah, I remember like my first year, like one of the very first nights out, it was here, and honestly it brings me back so many memories.
A controversial piece of street art has popped up in a derelict Debenhams in the city centre, and it's attracting a lot of attention. Our reporter Liz Fox has more.
This may look like an ordinary Debenhams, but it's actually the new home to Manchester's latest artwork. This piece was created by the anonymous street artist known as Fokker Wolf.
I'd say that the Boris piece represents this sort of doublespeak that a lot of the governments around the world use, where they sort of say you can do one thing, but it's a different rule for them. The stuff that I'd like to be people to sort of question would be, am I voting for the right person?
The work comes with a scannable QR code and will be auctioned online as an NFT.
We like artists with a story. I feel like Fokker Wolf's, he's just got a really cool story. He's a 2D artist, so we wanted to kind of like push him into like a new dimension.
There's no shortage of people snapping pictures, but what do the locals really think?
Brilliant. I love the party hat to finish it off.
I find it quite funny, to be honest, but you know.
Well, it's putting him in the shoes of the actions he's doing, isn't it?
Liz Fox, Quays News, Manchester.
An artist exhibition showcasing local queer artists comes to Salford this February to celebrate LGBT+ History Month. The exhibit is hosted by the Salford University LGBT+ Society in collaboration with Salford Council.
We've got queer zines from the 70s, from the 80s, back when Salford's LGBT society was banned. The art exhibition isn't going to change the world, but it's a little bit of culture and a little bit of celebration for the things that queer people do, which often queer people are incredible artists, and to have an opportunity to show that off, I think, is really important.
Have you ever thought about going to a rave in an old swimming pool? Well, you just might get your chance. A Grade 2 listed building is hosting an event on the 26th, and Manchester's Victoria's Baths is hosting its first rave since 2017. That's your headlines at 3. Don't forget to follow us at Quays News on social media and catch up with Quays Radio at 5.